If you had $1,000 to buy silver with today, would you choose silver eagles or silver rounds? Now, the reason that I ask, of course, is because there is a difference between how much you pay for a 1 ounce silver eagle and a 1 ounce silver buffalo, even though at the end of the day, they are both 1 ounce of silver. And that difference is not insignificant. Now, last year, I did this YouTube short right here where I showed that at the time, when I recorded that video, you could get, and let me show you, we're gonna count these out. I'm not gonna count them out, I'm just gonna display them. You could get, for $1,000, 37 1 ounce silver rounds. But at that time, for that same $1,000, because the premium on silver eagles were so high, you could only get, I'm gonna be a little bit more gentle with the eagles here, 25 1 ounce silver eagles. At the time, for the same money, your choice between rounds and eagles was 25 ounces or 37 ounces. But today, that difference has changed quite a bit. Let me show you what you can get now for that same $1,000. Now, even though silver spot price isn't very different from where it was last year, the number of silver rounds that you can get for $1,000 today has changed. Instead of 37 like you could get last year, we have 20 plus 20, 40 ounces of silver. So you now can buy 3 more ounces of silver for the exact same money, not because spot price is a lot lower, but because premiums, in other words, how much you're paying over spot, has went down. But what about silver eagles? Here's the 25 eagles you were able to buy with $1,000. Let's add on how many you could buy today for that same money. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. While you could only buy 3 more 1 ounce silver rounds with the same money, today you can buy 10 more silver eagles with that same money. Now, of course, many of you that watch my channel know that I track the premiums and know that those numbers have been sliding. For example, on this chart right here, I actually showed, and we're not going to spend a whole lot of time here because if you're watching my channel, you have seen this chart before, but you can see these premiums have been sliding pretty quickly. You can see 1 ounce silver rounds, the slope continues to go down. 1 ounce silver eagles, we had a massive decrease from 72.12% back in May of 2023 to where it was January 15th of 25.38%. And it's actually under 20% if you remove the most expensive retailers that we track for our premium charts. Now, of course, this all comes off of the back of lowering demand for silver. There is way less demand for physical silver today than there was, say, a year ago, or not even a year ago, March, April, and May of last year. For example, over at the Docs Deals page on SC Bullion's website, which is my sponsor, by the way, they actually have a sale on 1 ounce silver maples for just $2.79 over spot, any quantity. That means you can get it at $2.79 whether you buy 1, 5, 10, or 1,000. And 1 ounce rounds as low as 79 cents. The premiums are definitely coming down. But what about selling? Which one of them is better to have in a situation where you would need to sell your silver rounds or silver eagles? Now, to find that out, I went ahead and called 3 different local coin shops around the US to find out what they were paying today for 1 ounce silver rounds and 1 ounce silver eagles. The first shop I called was in the state of Washington. They offered me 50 cents back of spot for silver rounds, but $1.50 over spot for silver eagles. That is a difference of $2. Now, local coin shop number 2 that we called was in California. You can see they offered me spot price, in other words, no premium, for 1 ounce rounds. So if silver was $23.11, as it was when I called, they would pay me $23.11, whereas they offered $1 over spot for silver eagles. And then the last shop we called was in Missouri, where they did the same. They offered spot price for 1 ounce silver rounds, but they offered $1.50 over spot for 1 ounce silver eagles. So taking those numbers into account, that means the average of the 3 shops, and I do understand it's a very small sample size, is 16 cents back of spot for rounds and $1.33 over spot for silver eagles. So clearly you are getting more for silver eagles than silver rounds. So looking at those numbers, you're probably wondering, well, which is it? Which is better, rounds or eagles? Well, we're gonna find out. And by the way, I hope you've stuck around this long. Hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe. Let's take a look and see which one's actually better. And we can do that by using my silver premiums calculator. This is an Excel spreadsheet that I put together, which, by the way, you can download at my website by going to coolstacks.com and then going to Silver Seeker, Downloads, Spreadsheets, and Silver Premium Calc. So basically how the spreadsheet works, and it's actually quite simple. It does all of the math for you. All you have to do is tell it the data. So it wants to know what the spot price is when you buy your silver, and wants to know how much you're going to spend. So we already know it's $23.11. We know we're going to spend $1,000. Silver rounds, now it wants to know the premium. So silver rounds, the premium on silver rounds today is around $1.50, whereas the premiums on silver eagles is around $5. You can get a little bit lower if you shop around, but let's just say an average of $5 an ounce over spot. So that means with $1,000, with spot at 23.11 and the premiums where they are, you could get 40.63 1 ounce silver rounds, whereas with silver eagles, you could only get 35.57 silver eagles. And if you took those silver eagles and silver rounds and looked at their spot price value, that is the fiat value at spot, you have $939 for your rounds, only $822 for your eagles. That's how much of a difference that premium makes. But let's say you're walking out of the coin shop. You just spent $1,000 on silver. You spent your last $1,000. By the way, don't do that. I always recommend having a cash savings so that you can pay for emergencies without being forced to sell your silver. But let's just say, for the sake of this video, that somebody called you and they said, hey, I was just arrested. I need bail money. And you just spent your last $1,000. I don't know what they did, but let's just say it happened, all right? You need to sell it 10 seconds later. Spot price is still 23.11. The sell premium, so minus 0.16, remember that was the average of the 3 shops that we called, means that you're going to be able to sell your rounds walking back into the shop for $932. Keep in mind, you just spent $1,000 on this. Brutal, that's why you don't do it. But the average premium on silver eagles was $1.33 over spot. It still shows that in the scenario that it is still better to buy 1 ounce rounds than it is 1 ounce eagles. Because if you sold your eagles back at $1.33 over spot when you just paid $5, with the premiums being the same, you're only going to end up with $869.44 for your eagles, whereas you would have gotten $932.55 back for your rounds. And this calculator, by the way, guys, works with percentage premiums as well. Oh, this is a previous example I used for it, but you get the idea. So even though I am definitely myself buying silver eagles right now with the premiums being down, doing this math shows you that even now, just like it was the last 2 times that I showed that spreadsheet off, it is still better to buy rounds. There are going to be people that argue and say, no, eagles only, they're easier to sell. And keep in mind that the numbers that I used for the sell premiums was a very small sample size of just 3 local coin shops. But in general, it still shows you that it's still going to be better to buy those rounds because the premium is so much lower. So what are your thoughts? Would you rather buy silver eagles or silver rounds? With all the data that I showed you, some people are still going to buy eagles, and that is totally fine. But I hope either way that you learned something watching this video, and it at least gave you something to think about. Guys, I hope that you enjoyed today's video. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe and help it continue to grow. And the next video you should watch is right here. It's where I called coin shops trying to sell them 100 gold coins. Find out what they said by clicking now.